Schools need to be safe and inclusive for all students, and the curriculum that is taught should enable everyone to be successful during their school years and beyond. Currently, the Aboriginal Department within the TDSB is helping to create a better learning environment for all students by promoting Aboriginal perspectives across the curriculum. The Director of Education, Donna Kwan, and the board is committed to making necessary changes that will expose all students to Aboriginal ways of being, knowing, and teaching. In doing so, it is hoped that the achievement gap for Aboriginal students will close.
Hello, my name is Donna Kwan, Director of Education for the Toronto District School Board. Aboriginal education is a priority in the Toronto District School Board and an area of focus for our Years of Action plan. I am so very proud of our Hear Our Voices project at Sloan Public School and the school's commitment to learning about the history of First Nations, Metis, and Inuit peoples of Canada. It is wonderful to hear about students so active and engaged in such a meaningful project, and I congratulate everyone in the many initiatives undertaken this year. Sloan Public School is a shining example for others to follow as we continue to champion Aboriginal education in our board and across our communities.
Sloan Public School, a kindergarten to grade 5 school, decided that a focus should be placed on Aboriginal education. They developed a project called Hear Our Voices that aimed to increase awareness of Aboriginal traditions, cultures, and perspectives for students, staff, and community.
My name is Harut Minugan, and I'm the school board trustee for Ward 17 in Don Valley East. And when we talk about Aboriginal education, really what we're talking about is the cornerstone of all Canadian education. Really, Aboriginal education is where our society started from. But making sure that Aboriginal education is included in our curriculum ensures that we move forward from past difficult episodes such as the residential school system, where Aboriginal students were taken away from their families and taught to forget their traditions. Unfortunately, that episode is a part of our Canadian history, but hopefully together we can move towards a better, more inclusive society, and not just to be inclusive for our Aboriginal students, but Aboriginal education is just as important for our non-Aboriginal students who wouldn't otherwise have an opportunity to learn those kinds of traditions from their family contacts, for example. Another very important aspect of Aboriginal education is to break down stereotypes, because we want to see Aboriginals in a modern context as members of our own society and not just from the historical lens of previous Canadian history. And I think we made great strides towards doing that at the Toronto District School Board by incorporating Aboriginal education in all of our schools.
One of the issues that has been identified was the lack of understanding of Aboriginal culture and history by TDSB staff. Therefore, Sloan staff decided to engage in professional learning opportunities with the Aboriginal Education Department.
Hello, my name is Andrew Plasaris, and I'm the principal of Sloan Public School. This spring, our school embraced and placed a strong emphasis on Aboriginal education. As Canadians, it was not only important, but an excellent opportunity to learn about the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit. Through various subject areas such as reading, writing, art, music, drama, and dance, we all became immersed and gained a better understanding of Aboriginal history, traditions, and culture. The Ontario curriculum was closely followed, and it is clearly stated, for example, that in the areas of social studies, history, and geography, it is important to emphasize that students develop skills, knowledge, and understanding and attitudes that will serve students both inside and outside the classroom, including their communities and the world of work.
Staff attended workshops on restorative practice, how to decolonize our school, and how to enhance social studies, history, and geography curriculum through First Nations, Inuit, and Métis-focused inquiry. Lunch and Learn workshops were also held at Sloan to gain a basic overview of the true Canadian history and some of the issues facing the marginalized Aboriginal groups. 4 after-school art sessions brought staff together to start the dialogue about the close connection between Aboriginal people and nature. Participants in the workshops worked creatively to make artistic trees and to think about Aboriginal teachings on the environment. Some staff decided to do further readings of articles and books to supplement their learning. such as Aboriginal student success featured in Education Canada magazine, First Nations, Metis and Inuit Education 101 in Etvo's Voice publication, the new face of Aboriginal education in Professionally Speaking from the Ontario College of Teachers, Looks Like Daylight, Voices of Indigenous Kids by Deborah Ellis, Rethinking Columbus, The Next 500 Years by Rethinking Schools, and even Arenda, the winner of Canada Reads by Aboriginal author Joseph Boyden.
So some of the staff decided to read the Arenda by Joseph Boyden, a Metis author. This started discussions among the staff about our Canadian history, and it got us thinking about the importance of Aboriginal people. It's important that we all know the Canadian history, the true history, and how Aboriginal people were forced to assimilate into non-Aboriginal ways of living. This discussion and further talks led to us developing our framework of what we wanted the students to learn.
Courageous conversations were started between and among staff, and a plan for teaching students was created. Lessons were begun with all students and started with recognition of the 3 Aboriginal groups within Canada, the First Nations, the Inuit, and the Metis. Amazing picture books were used to expose students to various aspects of contemporary and traditional Aboriginal culture and values. The English language learners and the special education students did research projects on Inuit people and Arctic animals. Dreamcatchers made by a Sloan Metis student and her family were hung proudly and helped to decorate the library.
My name is Cheyenne and I'm Metis. This is a dream catcher that my mother made. Dream catchers are very important to the Metis. The dream catcher is made out of real sheep fur and real natural string. And this is the dream catcher that I made at my camp.
Next, the students took a field trip to the McMichael Art Gallery to learn even more about the Inuit way of life. Students got to study about printmaking, an art form created by the Inuit. This intense learning was then followed up with another week-long art project in conjunction with Arts for Children and Youth. Students painted a mural depicting various aspects of Inuit society done as puzzle pieces. Motivation and inspiration came from their research projects, their field trip experience, and the reading and writing lessons at school.
The Aboriginal piece of this project speaks to me dearly because as an immigrant who's lived here for over 30 years, it took me about a decade to become aware of the Aboriginal plight that was around us. It was very, very strong in the 80s when I first came here. And when I did realize what has happened to the Indigenous peoples, at least the ones that I could see, I was so overcome with guilt. Yet at the same time, a sense of hopelessness, for I didn't know how to contribute, how to help, how to make things better. So the puzzle element, the pieces that the students bring in, but they're channeling from their learning, having come from all parts of the world, and paying honor and homage to this essential piece of Canadian society and civilization. We understand the sensibilities that go behind it because those feelings tie us as human beings, and we share those sentiments amongst everyone, be it hope, be it happiness, family, the idea of well-being, warmth, snow, and then of course the environmental piece, which has been quite challenging. How do you integrate that element with the realities that are around us without burdening these young students with pieces that might be too complex for them. Again, through creative play and creative self-expression. Some of these pieces might fall into place years from now as these students become individuals, grown individuals, and think, I remember that image and that is why it was chosen. Now I understand why my walrus was picked. And those eurekas that happen, which I love.
The mural is now a permanent installation in the north stairwell of the school. A different class went to the Harbourfront Centre to also study Inuit printmaking. Their learning was immense and the results were fantastic. Some students at Sloan were actively involved in independent research projects about Aboriginal heroes, such as Louis Riel, Susan Aglukark, and Wab Canoe. They took time to investigate important leaders within the First Nation, Inuit, and Metis culture, and then shared their knowledge with others.
I've been doing a research project on Louis Riel. He was a Metis. He was born on October 22nd, 1844. Louis Riel fought his whole life for Manitoba to become a country and for the Metis to have equal rights.
Walt Canoe was born in 1978 and was the son of a chief. A fun fact about Walt Canoe was that he released a CD called Live by the Drum in 2009.
Hi, my name is Kyla. I'm part Mi'kmaq and Taino.
Hi, my name is Sammy. I was born in Canada, but my heritage is Greek.
On January 14th and 15th, our class had the opportunity to work with Vanessa Dion Fletcher, an Aboriginal artist.
Another class worked with an Aboriginal artist to create colorful paintings for the entrance of the school. This included representations of Grandmother Josephine and Thompson Highway. Grandmother Josephine is an Anishinaabe woman who walked around the Great Lakes and brought awareness to environmental preservation, specifically precious and sacred water resources. Thompson Highway is a Cree playwright, novelist, and author. Having an Aboriginal presence in the lobby of our school is a direct attempt to show that we value the contributions of Aboriginal people. Age-appropriate lessons for all students were taught in the library and in homeroom classes on a variety of topics. Students learned about important traditional foods eaten by Aboriginal people. Kindergarten students even got to learn how to make bannock, and all agreed that it tasted really amazing.
We had a day with the kindies where we rotated around the 3 kindy classes, and in each room we had something relating to Aboriginal education. So we made bannock, which the kids not only loved making, they thought it was delicious. We had made turtles, which ended up going out and being part of our Hear Our Voices concert. And we also did some Aboriginal art that the kids really were proud of and put a lot of effort into. So Aboriginal education has really been permeating our whole school, and the kids have learned so much about it, and not just them, me as well.
Valuable lessons on residential schools, treaties, loss of land, cultural genocide, conditions on reservations, two-spirit discrimination, environmental destruction, and the enfranchisement under the Indian Act were taught to primary and junior students.
2 books that were about residential schools were Shishiagko and Shinchi's Canoe.
They had to speak English and they weren't allowed to speak in their native language. And if they did, then it was they were punished basically.
Older students were able to view the apology speech regarding residential schools by Prime Minister Steven Harper and other political leaders.
Therefore, on behalf of the Government of Canada and all Canadians, I stand before you in this chamber so vital, so central to our existence as a country, to apologize to Aboriginal peoples for the role the Government of Canada played in the Indian residential schools system.
And did follow-up writing activities based on all of their learning. Sloan students got a chance to meet and hear Metis author and musician David Bouchard speak. Students were drawn in by his magical storytelling and by his mesmerizing flute playing. Through story, music, and discussion, he imparted meaningful information about the Metis people and culture.
I'm an Aboriginal person, and as a Métis person, I believe that if you just go outside and you look around, there's lessons to be learned. There are 7 sacred directions. You watch. East, south, west, north. And that's your physical life. We are born into the first teaching, and you know what that is? It's humility. Kids, we all came out feeling humble. When I look at the sun, every morning, and I see the sun is so big, it reminds me, I'm nothing. I'm like a grain of sand on the beach, and it reminds me, you hang your head like the wolf does, David, and you be humble. Then, boys and girls, when you live your life, and you're 20 years old, and the sun is at its zenith, that's when you need the honesty to look in the mirror and know, kids, you don't have it all. If you think you've got a lot of gifts, you're lucky, but you don't have it all. And then, boys and girls, you work your way over to the west. When the sun goes down, on our medicine wheel, it's black. You know what animal I see in the west? I see buffalo with his great big head down, stampeding across the plains. And you know why his head is down? Because he doesn't want to step on that little prairie chicken. Because he doesn't want to step on that fox. He's respectful, and so should you be. Boys and girls, you've got a gift, but I do too. Don't use me. Don't step on me to get where you're going. You be respectful of people older, people weaker, people a bit less than you. Respect.
Sloan students got a special opportunity to establish a connection with the Saugeen First Nation. Information was exchanged between Sloan community and the Saugeen First Nation Reserve. The Sloan community was delighted to participate in a 2-week book drive to help develop the community library on the reservation.
The Sloan community has been collecting books for the Saugeen First Nations. We collected new and used books. Me and my mom helped sort the books and organize them into boxes. The closest reservation to Toronto was Mississaugas of Subab Island. We donated books to Saugeen First Nations, which is in Lake Huron. Good job, Sloan.
Fortunately, several leaders of the Saugeen First Nation Reserve and students took a trip to Toronto to meet with Sloan students. The Saugeen First Nation visitors helped to educate the Sloan students and staff about the important aspects of their culture.
They came and spoke about different types of dances during powwows and explained why smudging is used during ceremonies. They also taught us that the garments were worn during the powwows are called regalias and not costumes. And at the end, students got to participate in a powwow dance.
It was such a heartfelt personal experience for everyone and resulted in wonderful learning. The Sloan Aboriginal Education Project permeated all subject areas including physical education and health. In the winter, grade 5 students learned about snowshoeing and Aboriginal gaming during their overnight camping experience at Kawartha Outdoor Education Centre.
Hi, we're in grade 5 and in January we went for a really fun camping trip in Camp Kawartha.
In Camp Kawartha we played 2 games. One was called the blanket toss and the other was called the snow snake. And she will tell you about the blanket toss.
The blanket toss was an Inuit game that lots of adults and kids would like to play. The blanket was a fairly large blanket and it would be a blanket that people would surround. Then they would count to 3. The people at the outside would go down on their knees and then raise up the blanket and then the person would be flying in the air.
In the spring, the students in grade 1 to 5 got the chance to learn the game of lacrosse through connection with the Toronto Rock and Jumpstart Canada. Students got a chance to meet Garrett Billings, an amazing Toronto Rock player, who taught them about the history of the game and then set up multiple opportunities for students to learn the game within their PE classes.